So welcome everyone to our, I guess this is our winter spring, well, it's our spring pitch night, or rather evening. And I see we have people dialed in from all over the country. I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking to you about our investment, our investment criteria and who's presenting today. And then, what we'll do is present the four companies. So quickly, in terms of our investment criteria, we are inclusive. There are no limitations in terms of whether you have to be a University of Chicago alumnus. As long as you're a high net worth individual, you get to invest, with permission from the board. Minimum investment is $5,000, and typically what we do is we'll put it together in a syndicate, through a special purpose vehicle investment. We will be using a new platform from now onwards called I Own It. They are a local Houston or Texas-based platform that not only helps us put together these SPVs and manage them effectively, but also is a very good platform that eventually lets individuals, in fact, transact with private equities on this platform. Okay. So with that, let's get started. I would ask all the interested investors to follow kind of two things over here. First is, if you have questions to ask, please hold them till the end, because a company will present for 10 minutes and then we have Q&A for 5 minutes. So put your questions into the chat, or rather the Q&A box. And then also, if you're interested in finding out more about investing in any specific companies, please do stay till the end. When all four companies present, we will ask them to drop off, and then we will solicit your individual interest in whichever companies you're interested in, and then schedule follow-up discussions with that. So with that, I'm going to hand the screen off to Emily and Cole from Slice of Sauce, company you may have seen on TV through Shark Tank, right? So it's yours.
Thank you so much. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for the opportunity to share our business with you all. I'm Emily Williams. I am the CEO and co-founder here at Slice, and this is my husband and co-founder, Cole Williams.
Hello.
There we are. We have arrived. So Slice of Sauce transforms traditionally bottled condiments like ketchup, sriracha, barbecue sauce, hot sauce, and more into individual slices for sandwiches, burgers, and wraps. This idea came out of my home kitchen, where I was experimenting with my dad's recipe for barbecue sauce. He owned a restaurant when I was a child, and I was going to resurrect the recipe, and it called for a bunch of vegetables to braise, and then you throw them away. So I thought I would turn those veggies into a spice rub. So I ground them up, I put them in the dehydrator, and what came out was not a spice mix at all. It was a sheet of barbecue sauce. And I thought my experiment had failed, but Cole here, he used to be a chef. So he took one look at it and he said,
well, I said, you have to taste it before you toss it. That's kind of the golden rule in the kitchen. And we did, we tasted it and it was excellent. It was this really unique layer of flavor in a new form. And so we hosted some friends for burger night and we said, open your minds and check this out. And they loved it. And immediately we started to get some of the early sound bites that we still sort of cling to today, of mess-free convenience and this perfect bite every time. And they said, what else could you do? And we said, well, we could do a slice of ketchup. We decided to put it up on Kickstarter to see what the rest of the world thought of it. And immediately it went viral. We doubled our goal. And from there, we had retail interest, food service interest, as well as the opportunity to appear on Shark Tank. So this past January, we were on Shark Tank. We had multiple offers from multiple sharks and settled on a deal with Alex Rodriguez, one of the guest sharks.
And I know the burning question is, do we know J-Lo? But we don't know J-Lo yet. So we're really looking at solving a packet problem. There are 855 billion packets of sauce that go in the trash every single year. And if you've been reading the news, there's actually a shortage right now, which hopefully we'll experience some spillover from that. But Sorry for the spill pun. And then we're also looking at 300 million sandwiches that are eaten in the US every single day, which means that almost every single American is eating a sandwich every day. And on those sandwiches are condiments every single time. So the condiments category itself is actually $22.5 billion annually. But really, we've seen very little innovation in this space. And so they're really ready for some disruption.
Our proprietary flavors are spicy sriracha and classic ketchup. They MSRP for $5.99 for a pack of 8 slices, and our landed cost of goods is $1.75. They're unique in that they're shelf stable and they need no refrigeration ever. There's no junk in them, so they're non-GMO, they're gluten-free, vegan, all of the good stuff that everybody's looking for these days. And there's an endless opportunity for flavors. It's not just the spicy sriracha or the classic ketchup. We really have a chance to do anything under the sun. And boy, let me tell you, people have been reaching out online and asking us or making suggestions left and right.
So one of the things that we're really excited about are our co-branded partnerships. So to Cole's point about this endless flavor possibility, this isn't a novel slice of ketchup. This isn't something that's a flash in the pan and one and done, but we really can transform other flavors, other sauces, globally inspired sauces and flavors into slices. So this does a few things. This prevents copycats. These large incumbents are actually entrusting us to develop this new form rather than doing that in-house. The equipment is not something that they currently use. There's no slice process under the hood of the Heinz car. This also helps drive trial and trust. When you see Frank's Red Hot, you know what it is that you're gonna get. And so we are delivering that flavor in a new form. So we have Frank's and Secret Aardvark up first. Secret Aardvark is a cult favorite hot sauce out of the Pacific Northwest. And then French's Mustard will be next in line. We have had conversations with McCormick to do other flavors under their umbrella. They have 16 brands now, and we're starting with Frank's and French's.
So as you can see from this slide, our competition is really just a sea of sameness. And when we talk about competition, there's really kind of 2 things we look at. One is the form factor, and our truest form of competition in the form factor is a slice of cheese. And in terms of price comparison, we're right on point there. And the other side is the flavor, and the flavor component of a liquid sauce versus the flavor component of a slice of sauce. Flavor is the same, but it's ultimately a completely different form factor. So we really look at slice of sauce as a growth potential for the entire condiment category.
So when we look at our operations, we spent the last 3.5 years developing our operations. This has been a challenge for us, but we have overcome those challenges just recently, actually. So we're using a large-scale contract manufacturer that's actually just one brand. It's a Texas-based brand. They focus on dehydration, and then they manufacture in Mexico. That gives us some really great, efficient labor, but they also have unlimited capacity in terms of dehydration. Meanwhile, we're also able to do some small pilots, some R&D, and bench tops at a commercial kitchen here in the States for quick turnaround and avoiding that border. The other thing that I think is notable about our operations is that we do have a unique process. Up until this point, we've been super scrappy and on a shoestring budget and really focusing our funds on our go-to-market strategy rather than patent protection. Once we go to an automated process, which will require a little bit of equipment, partially the reason for the raise, once we have that automation, there is potential to patent, but right now we are leaning on trade secrets.
So who is slicing and what are the usage occasions? We know from the work that we've done online, whether it's the Kickstarter or from the response we've had from our pre-orders from the Shark Tank episode, is that our real target is the elder millennial, ages 30 to 38, hello, with an appetite for an adventure. They're glamping on the weekends, they're shopping online, as more and more people are, and they're willing to spend a little bit extra for quality and convenience. So this could be anybody from the sports fanatic who sets out the awesome tailgate decked out with the craft cocktails and their favorite team rug, or the RV the enthusiast we call van life Vincent, who's now, you know, the hypermobile individual working on the road and living the free life, or even folks that are just packing their food to take to the office when we go back, or if you're already back in the office.
Our go-to-market strategy is really focused in the short term online. We have a perfectly positioned product to head out online and capture some of this growth that grocery is experiencing with e-commerce due to the pandemic. As Cole mentioned, our product is shelf stable. We have a really small footprint. So we did launch pre-orders on January 15th, the date that we did air on Shark Tank, and those orders will start shipping on May 1st. So we will go live with inventory on May 1st, and then we'll be ready for Amazon by July 1st. We actually have had a ton of search on Amazon, so we can take advantage of some of those already earned keywords on Amazon. Retail grocery conversations are already in the works, and so those include H-E-B, Buc-ee's, Loblaws, and more. That will start 2022. We really want to stay focused online in 2021. By 2023, we do know that this product solves a huge problem for food service. Soggy bread, those pesky packets that we mentioned. And so this could mean anything from grab and go, prepackaged sandwiches, concessions, stadiums, as Cole mentioned, those tailgaters. But there really is a huge opportunity once our unit economics and our economies of scale can sustain those tight margins. But food service is definitely on the roadmap. So a little bit more about my background. I spent over a decade in retail, both on the sales and management side, and then also in purchasing. I have a degree in supply chain. And then most recently, I was in finance, where I was Series 7 licensed.
I've spent the past 10 years as an entrepreneur in the health and wellness space. I started as a private chef and moved into fitness. I worked with a company called SoulCycle, growing their West Coast operations for 8 years.
So a really, really high level look at our revenue projections for the next 4 years. We will be and plan to be profitable by the end of 2022 and nearing 30 million in top line revenue by 2024. And again, on that early traction that we've seen so far, we have $20,000 in pre-orders, and then inventory will go live on May 1st. So today we're raising on a $500,000 convertible note. We have 200,000 of that already closed. This is going to allow for us to purchase some equipment, focus on some of our raw materials, and building up that inventory, and then most importantly, sales and marketing. We really want to continue to capture and nurture that top of funnel that we were able to build with Shark Tank. We had 125 views on our website in 1 month.
125,000 would be just really, really, really sad.
125,000 views on our website in 1 month alone. So really capitalizing on that top of funnel and retargeting with some social and digital ads. The terms on the note, pretty standard, $5 million cap, a 20% discount, 6% interest. That the trigger for conversion is 24 months or a qualified financing of $750,000. And so that is all we have for you today. Happy to answer questions. And again, thank you so much for including us. We've had a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you, guys. I see we have one question that's come in, and folks, please, click on the Q&A below, the bar below Q&A, and type your questions in there. So does this require FDA approval? What modifiers do you use to keep it in solid form?
So the FDA does not require approval for a new product like ours. They do have requirements as far as labeling and some of those specifics, which we are definitely in line with their regulations. We use a really unique formulation that we've spent years developing, but includes some starches. We actually use a potato starch. But again, as Cole mentioned, no high fructose corn syrup, nothing, scienced, I like to call it, but great, wholesome ingredients and non-GMO.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, these co-branded agreements that you have they already been signed, or this kind of just still in process?
We have a term sheet with McCormick on Frank's, and plans to continue, like I said, with French's. The big contract has not been signed yet, but
part of that process is undergoing a site audit and a bunch of their quality approvals. So we just went through that process. We scored a 98% out of 100%. So that was really great. So we should have that contract wrapped up pretty soon for McCormick.
Got it. Okay. And then do you mind showing your investment terms again, please, on the screen?
Absolutely.
Got it. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
If you don't mind, just keep that up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the next question is the terms with, I guess, A-Rod. Is it possible for you to disclose those terms, where things stand, your concerns with moving forward in that front? And also, is his group going to be investing in this next round?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, negotiating a deal on television, and then
the real negotiation happens after the tank, as I'm sure many folks know. But we can't talk too much about the terms. It's still under contract, and we're still in that due diligence process. And the investment would be on a separate vehicle apart from this.
But is he looking to invest in the next round as well? Too
early to say. It's definitely too early.
But by the way, I'm impressed you just referred to it as the tank. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any plans to offer certified organic slices?
Yes, actually, the facility that we manufacture in is already an organic facility. We started with conventional just for the sake of cost purposes, but yes, organic is on the roadmap for sure.
Got it. Now, there is a question here. Do you guys have a sample of your product there with you to show a slice? Because someone's not very clear exactly what this looks like. So I thought maybe it'd be best if you just showed us a slice.
One of our advisors has a 5-year-old son, and the 5-year-old calls it the red cheese. So if that description does it any justice, but Cole's got some samples here. So he's going to open.
Okay. Do you mind enlarging your screen by stopping your share?
Sure.
And you can enlarge your camera. Yeah.
Here we go. So I have there are slice of sauce sriracha, as well as the Frank's Red Hot slices. I will open up the sriracha. So they come in a resealable zippered pouch, 8 slices, and they're separated by parchment paper. So it's just like sort of your slices of cheese that you would get pre-sliced at the market. And then they're just, it really is like a slice of cheese, a slice of red cheese.
Got it. Thank you.
But nice, it's really nice and soft. You can see that it just is, it's supple, it's not tough, not like a fruit leather. It's, wow, it smells so good. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. What will prevent the big money manufacturers from doing this?
We're actually in a sweet spot, because the equipment and the know-how required to manufacture the form factor is not something that any existing sauce manufacturer has. And so that's specifically why McCormick came to us. As we mentioned, there's been so little innovation, and so they're looking to us to actually manufacture for them. We've had calls with Heinz and some of the other big guys. So it's put us actually in a really sweet spot because they don't have those manufacturing capabilities. The dehydration houses, which we actually went to first for co-packing, say it's a fruit leather or a fruit roll or something like that. They do such high volume at very, very specific thicknesses and widths, and they would have to retool their entire line to be able to do something like what they're doing. They have contamination crossover with savory versus fruit strips and things like that. So the existing manufacturing for a fruit roll up is actually not going to work either, which is why it's taken us almost 4 years to find that manufacturing partner.
Okay, thanks. I know we have a bunch of other questions, but we are out of time. And I'm guessing there's going to be a follow-up, guys. So, if you don't mind holding on to all the additional questions, we can ask them when we get a more dedicated time with Emily and Cole. Okay, guys, I know you'll have to go to a university meeting or presentation, so feel free to drop off.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate the time.
So next we have Olivia from Deep Blocks. So Olivia, go ahead and present your screen. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. That was an awesome product. Really happy to see that. Made me a little bit hungry. Okay. My name is Olivia. I'm the CEO and founder of Deep Blocks. Deep Blocks is in the real estate development space. We are compressing the time it takes to go through the real estate development process. And first, I'm going to show you what the process looks like today. Then I'm going to show you how we're changing that and how we do it and what are the tools that we've built around that, the impact that we're having. And then I'm going to switch screens and show you the actual software. So Deep Blocks came out of Singularity University. As a founder, I have a master's in architecture from Columbia University, a second master's in real estate development. I designed software for the Department of Defense under the DARPA Innovation House, and then graduated from Singularity University, where Deep Blocks was born. So today, real estate investment teams, and let's look at large real estate investment teams, use different tools, fragmented tools, and sometimes use different disciplines and members of these disciplines to find the right site and to analyze what could be built on that site. So you have Google Earth is being used a lot, ArcGIS with different layers for zoning maps or different types of geographical data, as well as listing sites or the relationships with brokers to bring deals to the table and also understand what the market looks like. So these tools allow investment teams to kind of find pockets of opportunities and using a lot of different data points. Once a pocket of opportunity is found in the market, you have to go through the zoning code, which every municipality has a different zoning code. They're about 450-page documents. You either have an architect in-house or you call an architect to see what could be built. That architect creates a massing, which you see in the middle, and that massing is then compared and ran through a series of financial analysis models in Excel. So you have brokers involved, the analysts involved, the architects involved, the financial pro forma, it has to be combined with the 3D model. And this is a very fragmented, linear, painful process that every single real estate investment team has to go through. The more sophisticated teams, let's say the Blackstones, the real estate investment teams within Amazon, are using multiple softwares in-house to not have to go through an architect or these relationships with brokers, but try to have a more data-driven process. This process, again, includes Google Earth, ArcGIS, zoning documents, market reports, Excel, 3D models, still completely fragmented in different softwares. And it requires the human and the human to kind of connect the dots and figure out what is the optimal goal or the optimal property to invest in and what exactly would be built. So Deep Blocks combines all the data around real estate development analysis, everything within the pre-construction process. And that could be, that's geospatial data, that's demographic data, zoning information, all into a single centralized place. Beyond that, we've developed a series of tools that mirror the tools used today, but they're all integrated. So you have graphs, geospatial models, 3D models, financial models, all working together. And in working together, we have the opportunity to optimize. So the next level for our software is to have an artificial intelligence constraint-based system to do predictive analytics and find sites automatically that have high potential, and to also do constraint optimization and figure out what is the right unit mix, what is the right combination of uses for a specific market. That is not possible today because all of these processes are fragmented into different softwares, and in some cases with less sophisticated teams, into completely different disciplines. So I'll give you a brief example, and I'll show you this in the live software, but you're able to take a look at a city and understand how it is planned to be built. So what is the DNA of that density? And what you see right now is a density layer of units allowed. So if you're a developer that wants to build high density, you know you have to focus in that area, that red area in downtown. If it's mid density, you know you have these arteries that you can focus on. And if it's low density, you have these pockets of yellow. So very fast, you can look at a market, and this is live now in 45 different cities in the US, and immediately understand how a city is positioned and where you would have to go to find that opportunity. The next, a little bit more zoomed in level, you're able to search for parcels that meet very specific criteria. This is an example that we worked on with a large client where you have 11,000 parcels in the viewport. You narrow down to about 1,000 in green that allow for industrial uses. Then in blue, there's about 500 that allow for industrial uses and as well as residential units. And then in orange, you have about 8 sites that allow for more than 50 residential units plus the industrial uses. So very quickly, you can go from 11,000 parcels to 5 or 6 that meet your requirement. This process is not possible today. There's nothing combining that zoning information with the parcel level and even more demographic and other data that we're combining into that integrated search. Once you find a few parcels, you have the ability to quickly model the potential development and have both the visual of what that is looking like and the financial model. So as you're adjusting the unit types, the rents, the construction costs, the land costs, and tweaking all of these assumptions, you're able to very quickly understand how that's changing the return on cost. This is taking a process that's 3 months at least to find these sites into literally a couple of minutes. We're now live in 45 cities, and what we call live is where we have the zoning data. And this data sets us apart from any other company. For example, most data zoning digitization companies take 2 to 3 months to get into a new market. We've automated the identification of the PDF or the zoning document. We've automated the identification of where in that zoning document we find the zoning components that we're looking for example, FAR, units allowed. So we build machine learning models with the help of a team in India that has done the process manually and has tagged every step of the way to automate these 2 processes. We've also automated structuring the data so it's ready to be absorbed by the software. And now we're working on automating the extraction of the data. With this round of funding, we're going to go from 45 markets to 800 markets this year. In terms of our licenses, right now we're selling the national subscription. We've been ramping up the prices from alpha. We put the product in the market early on where there was just one single tool, the 3D model. And as we've grown it, we've increased the price. We just got an order for 2 subscriptions from the city of Miami, the municipality, for $10,000 a year each. And also before that, we sold one for $6,000. So we're ramping up to $18,000. And as we continue to add cities, so the next 200 cities will put the pricing as $36,000 a year per subscription. We're also going to be able to break up the prices so that you can just get Miami or New York. If you're looking at one, it'll be much cheaper. And then on the enterprise side, we'll allow large funds to upload all of their historic data, to have all their data in deep blocks into a centralized software. I'm going to skip these slides, so I want to show you the software itself, but I'm sure you'll have questions on what we plan to build next, our team, and our current round. I want to jump on the software and show you that example. So here we're looking at the city of Miami. We're going to look at how many units are allowed and focus on a specific area. I'm going to zoom in until I see the parcels. And I'm going to very quickly orient myself and say which parcels allow for industrial uses. So I can do a search based on uses allowed. And now I have the parcels that allow industrial uses. And you could also say which one of these allow for some type of residential units, and at least 50 units. So I've just reduced from about 10,000 parcels to 10. I could also look at kind of the demographic trends in each of the census tracts and get an idea for that. And a bunch of different layers. For example, what are my residential rates in the area? What are my retail rates in the area? Where are all the local businesses located? Once I select the site, let's say this one, you have the zoning information, the breakdown of the zonings, and you can very quickly click around and see what else can be built around you. So you don't need to call an architect every time you have this question. It's all a click away. We're going to do a quick model of residential and multifamily and retail. And this grabs all the data from the market. And this market data is generated by machine learning models as well through partnerships with the MLS. And it creates a 3D model where you can begin to adjust that 3D model according to what you want to build, and very quickly get a feel for what this project will look like, what will be the return. And for example, I won't go into too many details, but we can really shape the building and create a tower and figure out what this would look like. You have all your assumptions for the unit types, the size of the units, the price of the units, operating expenses and vacancies, and all of this is connected to your return on cost. So with that, I'm going to stop. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and I'm happy to answer all of them.
Great. Thanks, Olivia. It's an impressive piece of software. First question, I guess, is who are your competitors? And
That's
who do you
question.
think? I'm sorry. Yeah. So the question, let's start with who are the competitors? Let's start with that.
Sure. So we have competitors in the different verticals. There are companies that are digitizing the zoning. There are companies that are doing generative design in the 3D model, and there are companies that are allowing large funds to upload their data and their data subscriptions to have a better understanding of the market through a series of kind of dashboards and graphs. So if somebody would combine all of those, and I feel like, wow, that's my fire alarm. This is really interesting timing. If someone would combine all of those into a single software, and I think everybody is moving. Sorry about that. Let me.
Must be one of your competitors.
It must be one of my competitors. So I think all of my competitors are working in that direction to have a holistic system. I'm very sorry about that.
That's okay. Go on. We can hear you. Yeah.
So all of my competitors are working together to have a holistic system. Nobody has everything today like we do.
Tell us about your funding situation. What are you looking for? Well, how much have you raised to date? What are you looking for?
So I'll show. Wow, it's amazing. Okay, so we are raising 3 million. We've already raised 400,000 from that 3 million. Some of the investors in the current round include, we're in due diligence with SoftBank. As you see here, we have existing investors that are venture capital, like Singularity University, Trillion Ventures, Minerva Capital. And these are angel investors. The ones with the little star are all real estate developers. So we've had a lot of support from the actual players in the industry as well.
Got it. How many of your previous round investors are coming back in this new round?
So none of them are coming back in this round. They were part of the first and the second round. We're having a completely new set of investors in this round.
And why is that? I mean, it's...
Because we want new opportunities. We want, every investor that we're speaking with has large networks within the real estate industry or a large network between the VC world. And we've taken quite a bit of money from our existing investors. They might come in at the end, but they're not leading this round.
Got it. The question is, how do you get your data from the cities?
Yes. So the zoning data is an operation that we've gotten really good at. It's one of our biggest barrier to entry. We train a team in India to extract that data automatically. They've been working with us for 2 years now, and they've tagged that data. So now we use machine learning models to do to automate part of the process. So we're now working on the next 800 cities. It took us 3 years to do the first 43 and really get that system in place to be able to automate it. So that's how we get the zoning data. The market data, we have partnerships with the MLS, and we use the data from the MLS into machine learning models that also look at demographics and other census level type of indexes, so that we can expand that data across the country. In terms of parcels, so far we gather a lot of parcels that were available for free. And in the future, we can buy all the parcels that we need as we expand to other markets. So I'm not sure if that answers, yeah.
In terms of your go-to-market, tell us how you plan to go to market and sell. Because you
Yes.
talked about the different kinds of companies that would be interested in your product, but how are you taking this to market?
Yes, so right now we are, so we're selling to the national subscription. We're focusing on private equity real estate funds. We became members of this private equity real estate fund group, and it gave us access to 2,400 private equity groups. So we're reaching out to them. We're creating demos. We reach out through them through email as well as LinkedIn. So we've grown our LinkedIn network in private equity to about 20,000, both the chief revenue officer and myself. And we're reaching out and creating demos. Once then they go into the trial. We have about 18 funds in trial right now. We have 120 customers at this time, paying customers. So it's at first is very personal. Once we expand to local real estate developers, there will be a marketing, we'll bring in an expert in marketing, because that's not going to be one-to-one conversations anymore. But the national subscription and the enterprise is something that we can handle, both the chief revenue officer and I. Michael, he's grown 2 companies 6,000%. He came in January once the product was prime time ready, and he's been ramping up our sales pretty quickly.
Okay. Why would cities be purchasing this software?
Great question. So the municipality is the first municipality to purchase our software. We've been in conversations for 3 years. It's not our target market, but they came to us. They want to be able to understand what are the rates in the area. They want to test different models for incentives. So we're the only software where they can see the zoning, they could create the model, they could test if they allow a certain amount of units in exchange for affordable housing, for example. Would that be profitable for the developer? Believe it or not, municipalities, planning departments do not have financial analysts anywhere in the department. So this is an opportunity for them to understand what's the financial repercussions of the decisions that they're making at a large scale.
Okay. Olivia, we have a number of questions that have come in, but again, there's only so much time we have. So I'm going to ask folks to maybe table those questions, and we can address them in the next round. Okay.
Thank
Olivia,
you very
thank
much
you
for the opportunity.
Appreciate
yes,
the time.
I'm sorry
Appreciate
for the alarm.
That's okay.
I hope the building's not on fire. Have a great day.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Next, we have Pamela from from Case Control. Pamela, take it away.
Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, hi everybody. Thanks for your time today. I'm Pamela Singh, CEO and co-founder of Case Control. And Case Control is a collaborative surgery management platform that creates the surgical home. Using AI, Case Control automates surgery scheduling, eliminates administrative burden, and cultivates rewarding relationships with every surgical patient. So true story, meet Janet. She fell, shattered her kneecap, and could barely walk. And during her 10-minute doctor visit, her biggest fear comes true. She needs surgery. You know, once at home, Janet is overwhelmed with the book of generic instructions that she's received, and she calls the doctor's office for help, but she plays phone tag with the busy staff. Now on surgery day, you know, Janet anxiously arrives early on an empty stomach, dons her hospital gown, gets her IV, and meets her anesthesiologist. But wait, a detail was overlooked in the prep of Janet's surgery. She missed the required clearance from her cardiologist, which is critical to reduce the risk of complications during and after surgery. And before Janet can even process anything, her case is canceled and she's in tears. Janet was our co-founder, Dr. Ashwin Dewan's patient. As an orthopedic surgeon and engineer, Dr. Dewan couldn't see another one of his patients in tears. So he created an app to streamline his patients' surgical journeys. Now, the 20% decrease in case cancellations led to more than just happy patients. 40 additional cases and $300K more in collections later, his hospital administrators actually came to him inquiring about the app, you know, asking, hey, Dr. Dewan, how come your practice is so much more efficient than the other practices here? And that's when the commercialization potential and even the need of this product really came to light. Every year, 51 million patients like Janet are inadequately prepared for surgery, increasing complications, recovery time, and case cancellations, and costing $50 billion of surgical revenue a year alone. And this is because surgical planning entangles the surgeon, scheduler, and stakeholders in an inefficient paper-based coordination process using scans, email, and even fax outside the electronic medical record, or EMR. And one missed detail can lead to a canceled surgery costing on average $7,100 or another week of pain for patients like Janet. So introducing the Case Control solution, the cloud-based surgical management platform that liberates surgeons and teams to focus on patients. Case Control brings together all the moving parts to easily manage the entire life cycle of surgery. It's built for surgeons by surgeons, we like to say, and it can be used as a standalone system or as a module integrated within the EMR itself as well. Now, our ultimate vision is to be able to coordinate the entire surgical journey end to end, including billing and pre-authorization in just a matter of clicks instead of taking days. But right now we're starting with the pre-operative process. Now, for each surgical journey, take a knee surgery, for example, there's 150 data points that need to be communicated from the surgeon to the surgery scheduler to even start the scheduling process. And currently, overworked surgeons write up to 8 pages per surgery of complex surgery preferences, such as special implants and tools. Now, with Case Builder, which is our patent-pending AI-driven tool, surgeons can craft a complex surgical plan in just seconds, often with 3 clicks of a button. Over 40 automated messages coordinate vendors, anesthesia providers, and insurance, meaning what used to take overwhelmed surgery schedulers 4 hours of work now takes them just 1 hour with Case Control. And for patients like Janet, surgery can be a stressful time. So the red carpet is rolled out with customized and timed messages and emails to really guide them through their entire surgical journey. Finally, you can't fix what you can't see. So Case Control's HIPAA compliant dashboards allow collaboration and resource sharing. And predictive analytics risk stratify patients to proactively mitigate complications and cancellations, including keeping track of patients who might be impacted by COVID now, for example. So we like to make sure that no patient is left behind. The net result is happier patients and surgeons with up to $300K more in annual collections per surgeon, or this can spell out to 12 to 15 million for a hospital. Due to a 20% increase in surgical volume, over 250 surgeon hours were claimed, and less administrative burden, allowing staff to really focus on better patient care. Now we're starting with the 100K surgeons in the US with an ITAM of 360 million, and then expanding across all subspecialties globally with a TAM of 3.6 billion. So why now? Well, as surgery demand continues to explode, so does the administrative burden and the associated risks that come along with it. But right now we have a window, especially for Case Control, because the government is mandating a change from a fee for service to a value-based and bundled payment model, which means that the efficiency now impacts the bottom line. You know, before, hospitals or providers could charge for the surgery separately, and if there was an infection and somebody got readmitted, they could charge for that as well, and so on. But now in a bundled payment model, providers now only get a lump sum, and any infections or readmissions or inefficiencies even in the supply chain are going to be coming out of the bottom line. So to really win in value-based care, you know, providers need to be able to control the entire surgical journey, and Case Control helps do that. We're a SaaS platform for surgeons and teams with 3 tiers of service, from about $3,600 to $7,000 per surgeon annually, and with margins greater than 85%. And boosting surgical volume by just 1 case pays for our yearly license. Now, since exiting beta in January 2021, we've signed an additional 6 implementations and have more in the pipeline. We actually have a wait list. And we're starting by targeting individual orthopedic surgeons in private practice. And then surgeon champions help us sell and strategically advocate for full practice implementations. For example, one surgeon is a director of 20 surgeons, so we'll be onboarding them after phase 1. Another one has 5 surgeons that he's going to be bringing on, and so on and so forth. And we've been bootstrapped to date and are currently raising a $500K pre-seed round with $200K already committed through angels, family, and also our surgeon users themselves. And this is a safe note with 20% discount. And this funding would be to get us to 230 surgeons, 1 million ARR, and also mainly to hire software developers to help us not only just continue development and support, but also expand to other subspecialties as well. We have a strong team in place with over 4 decades of experience in healthcare and tech. Not only do I have a background in systems engineering, operational efficiency, and healthcare IT management, but Dr. Dewan is my husband. So this originally started with me just wanting him to be home earlier, taking care of the kids, but seeing my background in operational efficiency, you know, this is something that couldn't be ignored. Dr. Dewan is both an engineer and practicing orthopedic surgeon, and our CTO, Sachi Roy, is our family friend for over 30 years. And a computer scientist with experience scaling software and startups as well. And we just recruited our first advisory board member, Dr. Jay Khanna, who was, as of Monday, promoted to executive director at MedStar Orthopedic Institute and chief of orthopedic surgery at Georgetown University Hospital. So we hope to be growing and seeing if we can have any co-development opportunities or partnerships through his connections now as well. And we're looking for partners, you know, to help drive the delivery of personalized surgical care or to highlight as case studies. And next steps also include, you know, if there are introductions to admins responsible for surgical care. Obviously, next steps will include funding for us, and we continue to search for advisors who are visionary surgeons, talking to hospital CIOs and others who we can continue to leverage their network as well and grow through those. And thank you so much. That's all we have.
Okay, great.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, the questions have been coming in. So first one is, how are you different or unique, you know, versus something like MyChart?
Oh, great question. So
I guess I'll also throw it in with, you know, how is this different from what Epic, how come Epic doesn't do something like this?
Yes, great question. So Epic is more of a hospital management. They are really good at storing the data, and but one thing that a lot of EHRs are not great at is distributing the data. So now the process, the preoperative process that I'm even talking about, is a process that is currently paper-based. That's our current largest competition, is paper-based processes. So this current process that occurs, it doesn't even integrate with the EMR right now. It's not even in their scope of work. So that's the first thing. And MyChart, when we send out messages through texts or emails, we can also integrate with Epic and send out messages through to MyChart if that's what the clinic, hospital, or organization prefers to do. So we can leverage MyChart and use that as a communication piece as well. Now, other competitors that we have in this space, such as you know, Doxpera, for example, you know, they focus more on the day of surgery cancellations, but there's a significant missed opportunity in capturing surgical candidates lost earlier in the scheduling process. And that's stuff that Epic and EHRs do not cover currently. So by beginning in the clinic where the surgical journey begins, case control ensures that we don't lose any patients. For example, one clinic thought that they were only losing 6% of people who were identified as surgical candidates. They thought only 6% aren't making it to the operating table. But with case control, we showed that they were losing 20% of surgical candidates. And the reason we're able to do that and Epic isn't is because the information goes into Epic once the surgery is finalized. And there's a lot of revenue left on the table. There's a lot of inefficiencies that occur before the data is entered into Epic itself. And that's the problem that we're really trying to address here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. How does your platform ensure that automated messages are communicating the right information? How do you ensure that your machine learning or predictive models are generating the right information?
Yeah, so we're completely HIPAA compliant, and we make sure that we are rolling out the right testing before we send out all of this information. There's also a consent form. So if this is going to be going out directly to patients, let's say from email or text, then we work with the clinic for a consent form to be signed before we send this out. And then if it's going to be integrated within Epic or MyChart, then we can make sure that that right information is coming through MyChart.
In terms of the rights to the software, now Dr. Dewan, put this together while he was working at another hospital, right?
Yes, correct.
So do they have any rights to this?
Nope, because we had created a different company beforehand, and that was for a dictation app that we decided not to move forward with anymore. So anything that was created through that company, we had already discussed with the hospital lawyers. They have no rights over this. Dr. Dewan developed it himself first, just with little Google APIs. It was a MVP of an MVP, I'd like to say. And no, that's all been cleared with the lawyers of the hospital, and with our lawyers, we have sole rights on this.
Okay. Do you mind pulling up the terms of the raise again, please?
Sure. Actually, I'm not sure if it's on the slide, but we have a safe note. We're raising 500K pre-seed. We have 200K already committed. It's a safe note with 20% discount.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Someone was curious as to which NFL team Dr. Dewan was a physician for.
Okay. He was a physician for the NFL Rams in St. Louis during their last year as the NFL Rams. I'm sorry, as the St. Louis Rams, before they moved and ditched us and moved to California. So we have all this apparel that we thought, we could wear, St. Louis Rams, but now that's completely useless.
Like the team.
Oh, no, yeah. So, but now we're Houston Texans fans.
Okay, I guess that's all we have questions now at this point. Pamela, we will follow up with you in terms of next steps, but
Great,
you can
stop.
stop. Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Okay, and then Pamela, if you stop sharing your screen, we'll have Sergio from EquipCast on.
Okay.
We cannot see your slide, Sergio. Okay, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, and you can hear me, correct? Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. Happy to be able to join you. So, I'm Sergio Taberkia, the founder and CEO of EquipCast, and what we're doing differently is providing the industrial internet for everyone. Today's platforms are very expensive, very hard to implement, and very hard to use. And so what we have done is created an easy to use, economical platform that brings together machines, data, and people so that they can plug that into their business strategy. And so if you think about how you use the internet today, it's an extension of your workflow. You don't have to think about it. It just simply works. So, you know, you have the total sum of human knowledge at your fingertips. Well, when it comes to the industrial internet, on the other hand, it's very hard to use. Every company uses different types of equipment, different from their competitors, and the data structure is not standardized, and everything is done in silos. Furthermore, if you look at the way that data is presented today, we've talked to CEOs of companies, and they see this data as a cost center. And so this is a current approach. And so because it's only providing measurements, there's no insight and there's no context at all into the data that is taken from it. And so here are some examples of what that looks like from a cost perspective. So a very large global oil and gas company, Chevron, they have 2,500 people on staff traveling around their production fields, just looking at measuring their meter data. Another one would be if you look at leaks from a pipeline perspective, just at a 0.5%, that leakage could be $4 million a day or $1.5 billion a year. And then another one would be example of if you look at problems with production allocation, the actual payments that you make to royalty owners itself, that kind of leakage on 600 wells, for example, could be up to 11 million. So what we're illustrating here, the industrial internet and the platforms out there, it's very hard to use. And so the solution is to be able to link relationships between data sets. And so I've already showed you what the current approach is. And so by creating linkage relationships, now you create a profit center. And that's what we're doing here at Equipcast. So what we're doing here is that what we've created is the first industrial internet browser and application. It's 100% cloud-based, and our company is defining what that experience should look like for industrial companies. And we have 3 primary applications that are driving the relationship data in between those different systems. We have a smart model builder. We have what we call an industrial Excel application that works like a scientific calculator. And then we actually have what we call as a time machine, where you can go back and forth and navigate like a movie and look at all of your system data and what occurred at what event at what time and what was the whole cause and effect. So our product here, what's really different about us is that rather than from our competitive situation, it takes years to deploy, we can do ours in 2 to 4 weeks. So we do the disconnection and create interconnectedness. From parts, we create wholes. We provide insights. So you look at analysis. So we synthesize that information, and then we create that isolation and we create relationships so you can have that one view. So simply, how the technology works in itself is that we leverage our existing infrastructure. We put our application on top of your existing infrastructure, and it goes to work. And so the equipment is able to communicate to you what problems it has. There's a lot of automation is involved, where we eliminate a lot of complex workflows in the middle, a lot of guessing. And then field technicians are able to have at their fingertips subject matter expertise via our machine learning models via their mobile apps. And so what's really important here is that you can plug in data, but you can't plug in one subject matter expert to another. So we're replacing that with the information itself that's out in the field. This simply illustrates some of our key differentiators. We're very simple to use, so you can be an expert or non-expert. Very fast diagnosis. We can diagnose things in seconds. You don't need any code to do any kind of data science. I mentioned our 3 apps, and basically what I want to illustrate here is that we have a very simple approach, a very different approach to what everyone else has done here in the market. In reference to who we compete with, we've approached this very differently. So you have some traditional companies like Baker Hughes that have partnered with C3 AI. Then you have Weatherford. Then you have some Silicon Valley companies that are trying to approach this, and some other startups. But as you can see, what we're illustrating here, and this is based on my own personal experience, is that it's a key differentiator in being able to implement with speed and have a faster ROI for a customer as compared to our competition. And our application is very easy to use, and we're very low cost compared to everyone else. What I'm about to do is probably get into one of the most exciting things that's happening right now, is talk to you about our first-in-kind application of this actually occurring. So if you look at the market right now, we're focused on low production and medium production wells and wind turbines. So the reason why we're focused on this is that it's because it's right in our backyard. And if you look at the balance of that equipment, from a digital oil field perspective, that's a 28 billion total addressable market. And then if you look at the rest of the market itself, the industrial internet of things, that's 178 billion. The reason why this is important is because we're both data agnostic, equipment agnostic, everything agnostic. So we're able to plug and play into any industrial infrastructure. As I mentioned before, I come from this world. I've been both part of startups where we've had participated in exits in the past. I got my training with Rolls-Royce Gas Turbine Systems. I was recruited by GE. When I was at GE, I was actually there when we invested $6 billion to try to do the kind of capability what I'm talking to you today, which we didn't garner many customers with that. And then recruited by a Silicon Valley company called Hortonworks that merged with Cloudera now. And this is where I learned about modern software architecture, where we're able to do something on this scale as much larger companies, but for a much lower cost. And what I've done is assemble a team together we've been able to build this whole solution and start taking it to the market. So we have a software as a service business model. So we have a base implementation fee. We can charge per well, per facility, per wind turbine. So that's a monthly subscription fee. And then if you have a much larger company, we're able to do an enterprise approach. So we'll both have a direct sales channel, and we'll actually have a cloud store channel. So like on Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, you'll be able to access our technology, but there's some specific goals you have to hit there. What's really important is that you do not need any CapEx to implement our technology and to use it. The other markets, the other technologies, you do have some CapEx. And then it's a simple monthly subscription fee compared to others. Our projected financials, and so I'll get to how much money we want to raise in a moment, but we're actually, because of the projects that I'm about to talk about, we're actually 2 years ahead from an infrastructure perspective. And so we're looking to add in about 11 FTEs, full-time equivalents this year. And then as you can see, over time, we'll be doubling our full-time equivalents, and we have a path forward to some great revenue success. I'm highlighting here something a little bit earlier that I'll talk about in a second, but we've actually signed a commercial letter of intent with an industrial monitoring company that wants to resell their my technology, QuipCast technology, to their 30+ customer base. And so I wanted to illustrate that that's kind of fixed into our revenue projections. And so we're currently raising capital to do the first ever industrial application and browser. and these are going to be paying projects. So we have 3 of them live and several large ones going on. And as I mentioned, we're growing pretty quickly, and so we need help with capital funding. So so I came from the infrastructure world, from a GE, from a Rolls-Royce in Silicon Valley. So this is the first time anything like this has ever happened, where we have in our system $15 billion worth of hydrocarbon data value with a 700-mile pipeline. This project includes 6 billion rows of records. We have over 2 million web files that's gonna be part of our modeling of this whole pipeline system. And then within this model file, we actually had to put together 800,000 web model files that it's going to include the configuration of our widgets and dashboards and mobile apps and etc. So the reason why this is significant, because I know firsthand this hasn't been done before, where you actually have all of the company's data, not just their operational data, their equipment data, but actually their financial transactional meter data that's going through the pipeline itself. As I mentioned earlier, so we have a commercial $6 million letter of intent. So this company here are actually certified by PHMSA. So PHMSA is by the Department of Transportation, where you actually have to meet DOT requirements. There's only about 3 of these in the country. And so this is the company that's interested in reselling our technology to their 30+ clients. And right now we have in progress three opportunities that we're trying to balance with what we're working on right now. And the third one is a $300 million publicly traded exploration and production company. They do about 18 million per month in production, and ramping up to 750 wells is what they want to do with us. An interesting thing about using our platform is that they have some midstream assets. They have some where they actually store salt water that's produced from oil. And if there's any downtime, we can help them realize in saving them 340,000 or so a day, or 14,000 per hour by applying our technology. So far we've received some seed funding from Texas Ventures and Unique Ventures. What we're looking currently is to onboard to bring these 11 FTEs. Money of that is going to go to our AWS infrastructure, capital expenses, personnel, and T&E. We have a convertible note available with 5% interest, a value cap of 18 million with a 20% discount. And looking for this million, what we're calling a seed round, to get us to a Series A round of 7 million at a 50 million valuation by the end of this year. The reason why is because we're actually seeing quite a bit of traction in where we're growing. Some comparison valuations. So I was at Hortonworks. So their Series A was a 23 million valuation. They had got a 23. So they had a 200 million valuation, 23 Series A, and now they merged with Caldera. They're a $1 billion valuation. Uptake, it's kind of similar to what we're doing. They've raised over 200 or 300 million total, but Series A perspective, there's a valuation. Then you have another company called Spark Cognition, Series A funds, valuation of 32 million. So I just wanted to give everyone a taste of what the market looks like. And I'm done with my presentation.
Thank you, Sergio. So a couple of questions. How is the linking of disparate data structures achieved? Is this homegrown technology? And if so, do you have any IP that protects your technology?
Yes, and yes. So this is our proprietary technology. So we have a way of linking. It's very much how Google worked in the early days of search, how they were able to link one page to another, and you're able to have those search results. That's how they changed the world. We have that same kind of linking, and within relationships, we actually do very similar Google-like page ranking capabilities, but we do it on equipment, of course, and data. And that is our proprietary technology. So we are considering doing a patent, but right now we have to we're keeping it a trade secret, but that's something that we'll consider for the future.
Got it. Okay. Can you explain how a hypothetical user would encounter real problems in their daily work and how they'd use your product to solve it?
Very good question. So right now, let's say you have to go, we'll use that one company, 700 wells. Right now they're sending someone every day, a team of people, they call them pumpers, and they go visit those wells to go see what the problem is. We pre-diagnose the problem before before anyone even visits the well. And by pre-diagnosing, you either know whether you need to visit the well or not, whether you know what problems are occurring at the well so you can have the right tools in hand to go fix it, or whether you need to even go visit and you could bypass those rounds that you're doing and not have to do anything at all. So we can help predict those failures as well. So you're saving time from rolling your trucks out there. So you're lowering your carbon footprint. There's actually a big ESG component to this as well. And so no more guessing. We're taking guessing work because that's how it's done today. And then you actually know what to do as you go visit.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about wind turbines and other renewables or other industrials, or is this tailored just to oil and gas?
This is everything. So we're starting right now with oil and gas right now because it's our backyards. But if you've ever been to West Texas, there's a lot of wind farms. Texas, I think, has the second largest set of wind farms in the country. So this is 100% for renewables right now. Applicable for renewables. So actually that company that has the letter of intent wants to take our market to the renewable industry for both solar and wind turbines.
Yeah. And if I may just throw in something additional here, guys, as we were kind of getting to understand Equipcast before this presentation, the thing that blew me away is that a majority of the data in the field, is not even used by these operating companies, right? Because their systems just don't have the ability. Their SCADA systems just don't have the ability to intake that data and do anything with it. And this first project that has been ramping up, my understanding, and correct me if I have this wrong, Sergio, is the largest, already at 6 billion records, and it's growing to 12 billion records. It's already the largest oil and gas project in terms of data intake in the world with a third-party vendor. Companies may do this internally, but with a third-party vendor, this is the largest such project in the world, and it ramped up in a matter of weeks to this size.
That is 100% correct, and that is why we're 2 years ahead from an infrastructure perspective. And when I was at GE or Rolls-Royce, and this could be for Siemens, for any other company, or Baker Hughes, you only get a set of this data. You don't get all of it. We actually have everything in our custody. And to think about that, we've written 2 million web files to link the different data sets from the equipment and everything else that goes on there. We've done this in weeks. This takes years to do. And so this is what we're very excited about. And we thought about coming across this kind of problem. So there's two ways to approach it. The first was, do you build a static system just so you can prove that, that your machine learning works? Or do you build something from the ground up where you can do this kind of project? So I made that decision. I want to do something. If we get the knock on the door, can you handle this kind of data set, this infrastructure? So this company itself is going from using 10 to 15% of their data to now 100%. And there's this data, 80% of their data they haven't even been able to use. And we're going to give the usability to it to provide them insights to be able to save money and lower their OpEx.
Sergio, one last question. I know we're out of time.
Yes.
Is it possible for you to tell us who these companies are that you're already working with, or at least give us a profile on them?
Well, I can't tell you because we're under a confidentiality agreement, but this midstream company, it's a $4 billion privately held company. It's a very large company. The other company that's interested in reselling our technology is actually a sister company that spun out of this midstream company. And so they're one of the 3 companies in the country that have this FENSA certification. So there's some like Department of Transportation, all these other things that we're just wanting to respect. But if someone's interested more of a one-on-one perspective further down the line to talk about that, and possibly would explore that, signing an NDA. But this industry is very protective, so we want to be respectful of them.
Are you dealing with any of the big players?
Yes, yeah. So Chevron. So I have them outlined there, but we are dealing. I can easily talk about Chevron, but Chevron is one. Pioneer Resources is another. We've had discussions, obviously, also with ExxonMobil. I used to manage ExxonMobil on a global basis when I was at GE on the advanced analytics perspective. And so I'm very familiar with what they have in their operations. So they tend to move a little bit slower, but once they move, you're busy for years working with them, which is another great potential.
Okay. What is the minimum investment you're looking at? Mustafa, we'll address that after we're done. I can address that later on. Okay. Okay. Hey, Sergio, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
To all the panelists, attendees, if you don't mind dropping off.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, Sergio.
Thank you very much.
And then there's one. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so folks, if you don't mind pulling up the Q&A at the bottom, the tab, what I thought we'll do is we'll just go through the companies, and if you're interested in a follow-up with them, if you can just say yes, we'll tabulate and then figure out next steps. Okay, and then we'll send an email out in terms of when we have scheduled follow-up calls with these companies. So typically what we do is that we ask them to come and do a more involved and detailed discussion, and that gives you an opportunity to ask all your questions. And then should we think, okay, we've got enough of momentum, to put together a slate to invest in this company, we will then get into some pretty intensive due diligence that typically lasts a few months, and then we take it from there. Our most recent round, it was exciting. We actually had to close off taking on any more investors because it started getting heavily oversubscribed. So that was very good to see happen. Okay, so let's start off first with slice of sauce. If you guys can just put in a yes on slice of sauce, we'll start tabulating. So go ahead. Okay, anybody else on slice of sauce? Okay. Sunil, if you don't mind, use the Q&A tab, not the chat tab. Okay, I'm going to close out slice of sauce. Next is deep blocks. Can you please let me know interest in deep blocks? Okay. What about case control? Okay. And then finally with Equipcast. Okay. Great. I'll stop it at that. And so what we'll do is, either look out for an email from Alex or me. We'll send it out to everybody with a schedule in terms of when we'll have follow-up. I'm at least from the initial polling, it looks like at least 3 out of these 4 companies seem to have adequate interest in terms of following up. And so give us a couple of days and we'll get back to you with times that we can do these sessions. Those sessions will likely be recorded. So in case you're not able to make those suggestions, we will we will provide recordings. And if you're not able to get your questions answered in those recordings, then please do feel free to email Alex or me, and we'll be sure to follow up with that. In our due diligence process, I will tell you that going through multiple rounds of talking to these companies and then getting everybody who's interested in investing, asking a lot of really smart questions certainly improves our due diligence process. So I would encourage folks to send in whatever questions they think need to be asked and answered about these companies. Okay. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody. And it'll be another quarter before we have our next session. So look out for emails on that front as well. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.